Every iconic speedrun has a section so absurd that it's almost a miracle that it even exists in the first place. Super Mario 64's 120-star speedrun has Carpalus and Rainbow Ride. The original Super Mario Bros. Features the monstrosity that is 4-2. But out of the 14 kingdoms featured in Mario Odyssey's speedrun, there is one that has gave speedrunners the most trouble ever since its conception, and that is none other than the Wooded Kingdom. Every time players started to get a grip on this kingdom, a new trick or route would be discovered that would once again make it even more difficult than before. But after almost 7 years, Wooded Kingdom has finally been put to rest. While it is unanimously agreed upon as the most difficult stage in the entire speedrun, top level speedrunners have finally been able to implement just about every difficult strategy there is to implement. But before we talk about that, we need to go all the way back to 2017 when the game first came out. The kingdom starts off with you collecting both this bunny moon alongside this rock moon, and then after that you go to the shop to buy this moon. You'd think that the shop would be slow, but since it's right next to the other two moons, alongside the fact that you don't need to go out of your way to get the 100 coins to buy the moon, it ended up fitting in the route super nicely. From here, a casual player would either talk to the Sphinx to unlock the next part of the kingdom, or they would unknowingly fall into deep woods. Since both are slow, speedrunners had a third option, and that was to scale this waterfall, collect this nut moon, and then pull this lever to unlock what the Sphinx would have otherwise unlocked. Normally, you're supposed to do all of that with an uproot, but with the help of Mario's moveset, the uproot's use becomes obsolete for this section. Once you unlock the gate, you get this nut moon with the uproot, and then go all the way down to this pipe in which there are 2 quick moons for you to collect. After that, you climb all the way up to this maze that contains this nut moon, and from there, you get another nut moon followed up by this story moon. From there, you could take this flower road to this moon, and then another flower road to this tower where you could collect 2 more moons. Since we now only needed 3 more moons, we could just fight Spirit for a multi-moon and finish off the kingdom that way. All in all, top level players would finish the kingdom in about 6.5 minutes. A few small optimizations have been found, such as skipping the flower roads, but at this point, other kingdoms already had glitches in their routes, so people weren't really worried about Wooded, even if it contained long stretches of complex movement. Come 2018, and this would no longer be the case. Shortly after Odyssey's release, a groundbreaking glitch would be discovered. If you're rolling and then you throw out Cappy mid-roll, you are able to do what is called a roll cancel. This type of roll cancel allows you to conserve your speed when stopping a roll would otherwise diminish it. So if you do this same roll cancel but against a wall, then you will be able to clip straight through it. Now you're not able to roll cancel through every wall in the game, but if there's a sloped surface next to the wall, then you're able to clip through it, and if the wall itself is just poorly designed, then you're able to clip straight through it as well. In Wooded Kingdom, there is this rock you can get up to after unlocking this gate, and this is a rock that has a sloped surface, which is exactly what we need to pull off a roll cancel here. But once we get out of bounds, things get even more complicated. There are ever so slightly tiny slithers of ground you can use to stay out of bounds, and from there, you can navigate yourself to this moon. Normally, you're supposed to beat Spirit, which then spawns the tank used to break open these blocks and get the moon, but with some precise movement, you're able to collect the moon using just Mario. This was arguably even more difficult than the roll cancel because it was not only super easy to clip back in bounds, but you were also at risk of doing something much worse, which was soft locking after collecting a tank moon. But if you did everything correctly, you can make your way up to this section after the tank moon, which leads you up to this ramp. Once again, you'd normally have to wait until you beat Spirit so that you can then unlock the rocket flowers that'll take you all the way up this ramp, but with some well-timed jumps, we are able to skip that entirely and get this nut moon. This reroute was easily one of Mario Odyssey's greatest achievements, but the optimizations don't even end here. Since we had now added 2 moons to the route, these moons being the tank moon and this nut moon, if we could add 1 more moon to the route, then players would be able to skip Spirit entirely. Naturally, there were a few options here, but players ended up routing in this nut moon that was right next to the pipes sub area. So instead of going to pipes right after this nut moon, you'd continue on with the route as per usual, and then once you completed the tower, tower, you'd do this giant leap of faith to get the remaining 3 moons. With both the rock clip reroute alongside the new spiritless route, we were looking at a little over 20 seconds of time save given that you got rock clip first try, but around the same time there was one more optimization found. After you get the shot moon, you could go out of your way to get this uproot, which would then lead you to this moon that is at the top of the tree. If this moon was done optimally, then it would allow for a few more seconds to be saved, as it could be used to replace this piranha plant moon, which was easily the slowest moon in the last route considering it's story moon with a cutscene. Now, we were looking at closer to 25 seconds of time save, which is nothing short of impressive considering that any percent had already gotten to the point where even just a few seconds of time save was celebrated by the entire community. During the same time, a player by the name of Vita was dominating the top of the leaderboards. Nicro, who had already gotten multiple records, was at the top with a time of 102.19, and keep in mind that this time did not feature any of the new optimizations I've mentioned thus far. Right after Nicro got his world record, he was on his way to show off Mario Odyssey at Games Done Quick, which is the largest speedrun event in the entire world. While he would still be playing the game at the event, he wouldn't be grinding it like he usually would be, so this gave the other top players time to catch up to him. While top level runners were already in the process of implementing the rock clip reroutes into their runs, a new glitch would be discovered that would not only break Wooded, but the entire game. A speedrunner who goes by the alias of Robin Cyrix had accidentally discovered a new way of clipping out of bounds. This trick would be fittingly coined as the moon clip, and a moon clip was theoretically possible anywhere in which there was a moon next to a wall, which leads us back to this nut moon. With a backflip and a well-timed cap throw, you were able to clip out of bounds and go straight to the tank moon. While you only had one try with this trick, it was not only easier than rock clip, but it was significantly faster as you skipped both this animation alongside a bunch of extra movement. This was the perfect opportunity for other top players to snipe Nicro's world record, and the person to do it would be Suisaga, who not only beat his record, but he even got the first ever 101. It seemed that Wooded had finally been perfected, with there only being room for very small and difficult optimizations. As new minute barriers were being broken, the route had remained the same, and even after Nintendo released the 1.2 patch of Mario Odyssey, which banned other any percent tricks such as first moon skip or this roll cancel in Sand Kingdom, the route in Wooded Kingdom remained the same, except now the loads were much faster, so that in itself was just free time save. Players would also discover that playing the game in simplified Chinese as opposed to Japanese would save a few seconds over the course of an entire any percent run, since it took less time to mash through the dialogue, so this was once again free time save for Wooded. The year was now 2021, and Wooded's route had remained the same. When Nutclip was first discovered, top players were completing Wooded in around 5 minutes and 20 seconds, but with the aforementioned time saves alongside much more optimal movement, Wooded was now able to easily be beaten in under 5 minutes, with some people getting times in the low 4-5x range. It seemed as though Wooded was only going to get faster through squeezing out tiny time saves, but then out of nowhere, one player completely revolutionized Wooded. All the way back in 2018, when the moon clip was first discovered, people began theorizing other places in which the clip could be possible. As far as Wooded was concerned, there were 2 places in which a moon clip could theoretically be possible. The first was in this maze, and the second was in the pipe sub area. If both clips were able to be pulled off, we'd be looking at an additional 10 seconds of time save, but after years of testing and theorizing, nobody was able to pull off either moon clip. Tools had shown that the clip was theoretically possible, and maze clip had even been pulled off in 2-player mode by a Rolme and Parasite, but nonetheless, tools in 2P mode are both disallowed in regular speedruns of the game. Come the beginning of 2021, and Raxo79 would do this. With a well-timed triple jump and cap throw, Raxo had proven Pipe's clip to be possible, but unlike the other moon clip in Wooded, this one had a really tight frame window, 2 frames to be exact, meaning that it was going to take a very long time for players to get consistent at this trick. Just a few days later, Raxo would then go on to prove Maze clip to be possible with the same triple jump method, except this time, the trick was frame perfect and you had to do this precise movement out of bounds to make it to the other side where the the Nut Moon was. The rest of 2021 would go by, and while Maze Clip and Pipes Clip being proven as humanly possible was nothing short of revolutionary, no one had gotten a new wooded world record with these tricks, let alone in an actual any percent run. Come 2022, and Tyrone had broken a new minute barrier, beating the game in 56 minutes and 55 seconds, but nonetheless, no one had even bothered touching the clips. But since Tyrone had just broken this monumental minute barrier, he thought he'd do some run-throughs of wooded, and he was able to get a 4:45, which was the first time wooded had been cleared in under 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Nonetheless, this wooded was far from perfect, as he not only lost a few seconds to some slow movement, but he didn't go for Pipes Clip. Tyrone would continue to bring the world record down for wooded, eventually bringing it all the way down to a 438.450, which is where it stands today, thanks to both Pipes Clip alongside some cleaner and faster movement. The year is 2024, and just about every player in the top 10 has a time that at the very least goes for both Maze and Pipes Clip, and the world record stands at a 56.06, which is still held by Tyrone. Had it not been for all of the discoveries, glitches, and optimizations found in wooded, we would be nowhere near close to the 55-minute barrier, but now we are only 7 seconds away. While it's damn near impossible for even the best players to get a run where everything goes right in wooded, despite it being years since a new big discovery was implemented into the kingdom, this kingdom truly is the holy grail of Odyssey, and there is only one other kingdom, or at least one kingdom that we know of, that can get even crazier than this. But that story is for another day.